The Sibol Combine, live August 29 to 31, 10:30 a.m. at the Activity Center, Ayala Mall Circuit, Makati. Admission is free.
Hello and welcome back to the last day of the Sibol National Pool Combine live at 5 Plus here at Ayala Mall Circuit, Makati. My name is Gigi Easy.
And my name is Carla. Our next game is a classic.
Eto na talagang...
Tis timeless.
Oo, classic, timeless yan kung ano man masasabi mo. Pero ito, isa to sa mga paborito kong games nung medyo kabataan ko pa.
And you know, the crowd loves it too. Yesterday, we saw a lot of games ng STARCRAFT 2 and nagwawala talaga yung crowd dito sa Ayala Mall Circuit, Makati.
Intense din kasi kapag nakakita ka ng mga nagsusuguran na maybe Terran, Zerg, or Protoss, kahit ano pa yan, pabilisan sila mag-build at maghanapan ng base. Yun talaga yung point ng match eh. Tapos mag-ubusan ng mga units. You know, it's just fun to watch. Lalo na kapag ang dami ng mga spaceship tsaka mga alien na nagsusuguran.
That's why when they're practicing, dun sa practice area natin dito sa mall, lagi kami nakasilip.
Tinitin ako.
Paano nila ginagawa yan?
Paano ba gumagana?
Amazing.
Paano ba bakit ang bilis gumawa ng mga to? Eh talagang makikita mo na pro nga naman talaga sila sa kanilang ginagawa. And speaking of pro, meron din tayong world champion na kasali dyan sa invited players natin. Nandiyan si Ender na nanalo din ng STARCRAFT 2 dun sa West G. Nanalo siya doon. At ito yung mga invited na mga kasama niya naglalaro. Ito hindi rin basta-basta mga manlalaro.
And I'm sure our audience is very, very excited to catch the action dito sa ating STARCRAFT 2 games, to see the world champion in action, of course, and the other top esports athletes here in the country. That's why without further ado, let's meet our casters for STARCRAFT 2, Dax Casts and Panda User.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the STARCRAFT 2 part of the Sibol Combine. I'm Dax.
And I'm Panda User.
And here we go, day 3 of the action, and you guys are in for a treat. So yesterday, we had all 4 of our players. We had Ender, Knox, Phoenix, and Siphon all playing on in a round robin. But it's time to see them just head on and face off against each other. Who do we have first here, Panda?
I think it's going to be Ender versus Knox.
Oh. That's gonna be pretty spicy. So Zerg versus Zerg action. So in STARCRAFT 2, guys, there are 3 races, not 4. There is Terran, there is Protoss, and there is Zerg. And the Zerg are really those creepy little aliens you see in the movies. They run around very, very quickly. They keep the spread on with the creep. There's all this ooze all around. And these guys really showing that they are the masters of the swarm.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for both of these players to face off against each other. You know, I've been in the scene for a pretty long time, and I've seen Ender way back, years back, even Knox actually. But right now, I'm just wishing the best for these both of these players right now to see their ZVZ mechanics. So, what do you think is going to happen during these games?
Well, these two guys have had a rich history together from 2011 all the way till now, and it's been really a timeless classic to see who is the best Zerg in the Philippines. But so far, it really has been Ender taking the crown in many, many situations, not only locally, but he has competed regionally, he competed internationally. We already saw the WESG Championship. He has been in WCS as well, all the way into the main group stage. So really fighting against juggernauts in the STARCRAFT 2 scene. On the other hand, Knox has always been a stalwart, very, very hardworking, and really someone to see at the top of the local scene. But we'll see if he can make a splash, especially through the SEA Games.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for both of these players. For Knox, you know, in his history, I've played against him from time to time. But seeing in the history, he's really top-notch. He's a pretty focused player. So I'm excited to see what he does in this match. Well, it could be the openers that made it very cheesy once it's at ZVZ. Anything can happen. Well, the macro, not likely, but It could be.
I think macro might be a good thing if they both make it to the mid game. It seems like from yesterday, it was just really micro mistakes there from Knox, and they're allowed to take advantage. But now let's get into our series. Game 1 of this best of 3, and we are going to start things off on Acropolis. A very classic map in the ladder. We had this last season, still into the newest season of StarCraft 2. And introducing our players here on the bottom right, we got Knox, and on the top left, it's going to be the blue Zerg of Ender.
So pretty surprising. I think Knox opened with a spawning pool first, so we're pretty excited to see what he's going about to open here. Ender with a natural expansion, but pretty normal stuff for a Zerg player.
Yeah, it's pretty much the standard openings. You can have variations of one kind or the other. Usually as a Zerg, you either build the resource producing structure first, or wherein you can put the resources rather, or at the same time you can decide to build into your tier 1 tech. Those small little Zerglings are very, very pesky. They also open a gateway for queens to come out, which really keep your larva production at a maximum.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Zerg units move faster on creep, but if they're not on creep, they don't move pretty quickly. And then for the queens, for those of you who are still new to StarCraft, these are the units that inject larvae into the hatcheries to produce more larvae and to produce more units.
Very, very important to also note that they are the ones that produce creep tumors, which allows them to infect the ground and let those Zerglings and everything else pretty much in the Zerg race to run around as quick as can be. But now in the ZVZ, this is an important conundrum. Both sides do benefit. It doesn't matter who owns the creep. They can all run on. And speaking of the run here comes Knox going for the brawl, wants to take care of the hatchery that Ender has placed on the outside. The macro game is important here for Ender, and he doesn't have any units available, so he will have to pull in the workers. The drones are going to go for the fight. 2 Zerglings trying to go for the fight as well to try and get the nibbles, but overall Knox getting some significant damage done, and Ender a little bit on the back foot. Oh, good pick there onto one of the Zerglings. Here we go again. Ender bringing in his own Zerglings. It's going to be a dance of duels here and a dance of death between our 2 squads.
Yeah, so the queen is about to pop out for Ender's side, but so Knox is going to have to deal with this actually sooner or later. But as I see right now, Ender is losing on his side for the economy, and he actually might lose this hatchery right now, but Knox decides to go for the workers. The workers are at a standstill for some reason, and he just resumes them. And he deflects it for now.
Yeah, a little iffy there from Knox. If he only just went for the commit onto the hatchery, might have gotten the takedown there. The queen got to come out, and that was the extra DPS working in favor of the defensive Zerg. Now, Knox does have a lot of Zerglings in the back, going to be backing on out a little bit in the lead on the army, but overall, they're pretty even into this matchup.
Yeah, so as you said, Knox could have concentrated on the hatchery, but he decided not to. Maybe he just wanted to reserve some of his units because he wanted to play defensively. He doesn't want Ender to have the upstage on the units. But we see right now, I think Ender's just going in, trying to scout in the base. He's not really gonna go forth on those queens. As I see right now, yeah, the vision. It's really important in this game, for those of you who really don't know. Oh, he canceled something.
That's
that
a
was
cancel.
yeah. So I don't think Knox wanted Ender to see it, because scouting is really important here, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, because if you see the production tab or even the buildings being built, you can know or how to react to each situation in this game.
Yep, exactly. Especially in Zerg, when you build a specific structure, this unlocks a specific tech in your tech tree. So for them, you build something called the Roach Warren, then you get roaches out of it. If you build a Baneling Nest, you can get Banelings out of it. And your opponent can respond in kind with a different kind of counter unit. So this time, Ender's like, oh, he got into the main base. Knox sees that his opponent sees what he's doing, cancels it, decides to go for a different tech tree instead. But for now, we are seeing more of a wall-on and approach here for our macro side. When you want to play more on the economy, you want to be as defensive as can be. You don't want to be producing too much of the army because you want to keep your worker count at a maximum. But now Knox, with good scouting again, onto the third base. He spots it out. The hatchery is just spawning. Here we go with Ender though. Good creep spread. The Zerglings can reinforce very, very quickly. And again, a dance of death between these 2 little critters. It's like dogs fighting for that last bone.
They are. But you know, it's funny to see, like, Knox is pretty good with his scouting factor right now. I mean, he's seen third base, but I'm surprised that none of the players have upgraded their Zerglings yet. Like, there's no the boost for the Zerglings. Well, it's pretty surprising, but then again, I think they're both playing it defensively.
That's very confusing because usually you get metabolic boost within the 3-minute mark. You want to get that extra speed. That flexibility is so important, but it seems like both players gonna play something a little different. We do see Ender though spotting out to Knox, going for that Lair tech, going into tier 2. In the meantime, we do have a little bit of the wall action here for Ender as well, reinforcing the front lines. But the Overlords, those flying little balloons that look really creepy, they are getting the information. They're very important, Panda. They give both supply, which is pretty much food, or in this case, control of the Zerg. But in the meantime, they are very useful as scouting units as well.
And they can also deny buildings. They can cancel it out.
With creep, if they go for the creep, and as well as getting the transport upgrade, they do have a movement speed upgrade as well, which has
movement speed upgrade. That's so pesky.
Has been buffed, so it is a lot cheaper nowadays. So we'll see if they are going to be utilizing that into this fight. But it seems like with higher tech comes a different approach here from our players, and these are going to be the roaches we were talking about a while ago here for Knox going into the middle line.
Yeah, I think he's going for it. I mean, you do see your opponent playing defensively, so why wouldn't I go for the... And I think Ender does spot this, so right now I think Knox is going to take another approach on this. For a moment, I think he's going for the third. And does Ender pull back? No, he plays it defensively. Both of them are just stepping from side to side.
He wants this. He wants to keep his base alive. He's trying to keep his worker count at the maximum, trying to keep the lead into this game. But Knox, in the meantime, wants to go for the aggressor. He does have a little bit of the advantage in the army, so we'll see if this is going to pan on out. Spine Crawlers being built as well. The Roach is going to retreat here for Knox, and they're giving chase. But overall, all the creep... Oh, it's going to be a small strike team here from Knox, trying to get the penetration all the way into the main, looking for the scout as well. Since he's on Roach tech anyway, he's going to use them for the scout, goes for the queen, sees the lair into play, and in the meantime, big brawl into the front line. Acid being spewed left, right, and center. These roaches are just vaporizing. If only we could do that to any kind of roach that we see. The Overseer, though, going to be in position as well, getting that vision. And seems like Ender will be able to defend so far. Knox a little overcommitting there, but doesn't throw everything away.
Yeah, so it's important to note that when you're up against in a ZVZ, the player that has the hatchery closest, or even if they're even in supply, the one who's being reinforced first is better. So as you can see right now, Ender's giving Knox a run for his money. He's just trying to distract him, going inside the base, poking and harassing, but scouting at the same time. But as you can see in the supply, I mean, it's a pretty big difference. But then again, Knox will be able to defend if Ender decides not to push.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday. It was more of a macro focus, especially from Ender. He doesn't want to overcommit, overpush, doesn't want to take the risk. Instead, try to build to 200, the maximum army supply you can get in the first place. But it seems like this is going to be calm before the storm. It's going to be engaging in the middle. The grass going to be growing greener with all the acid being spewed again. The poor roach getting vaporized just way too far off in the back. And then they're now going to take a little bit of a break. We'll decide to maybe just mass up some more units and build some more tech behind this.
Yeah, so it's always important for everybody to know that you must have tech, because if you're not up above one tech, and GG's called immediately. Okay, so for that moment, I think Knox knew that he didn't have enough units for the fight. He didn't have enough of the tech. It wasn't enough. So it's an important factor. +1 armor is always a factor. +1 attack is always a factor in any matchups in these games.
Yep, very, very important to see, especially that supply count. Knox was really behind. He didn't have much minerals to go for the reinforced. Ender defending not just once but twice very, very well against those roaches. Knox really trying his best with some strike teams. It just wasn't enough. And with Ender going on the offensive instead, Knox knew that his time was up. His time was now. And the first win of our matchup does go to Ender. Similar strokes from yesterday. What do you think about this matchup, Panda?
Well, I think Knox a bit overcommitted a bit. So, like you said, because it's very important in a ZVZ matchup, whoever's near their hatchery first, and if they defend the hatchery first, they get to resupply their units first. So as soon as you see an avalanche of units just crawling up on you, you should have the moment to decide, am I going to commit to this or am I going to back off? So I think with the statement that you said that he overcommitted with that clash with the roaches, Knox just saw it and then he just backed off. And then as soon as he saw Ender's units come to his base, it was done right there and then.
And Knox was trying to do something different into the game, was going for an earlier tech,
Yeah.
but Ender scouts this out, so Knox is like, okay, I have to go for a more standard approach, because if this gets spotted, it's way too easy to get countered. So well done again to our Zerg players, but Ender with a 1-0 lead. And since it's just a best of 3, if Ender takes this one next map, he will be able to just run away with it.
Yeah.
Knox looking to tie it up. ZVZ action coming our way again. As we get into game number 2, that was Acropolis, and this time it is going to be the map of Disco Bloodbath. Disco is pretty good.
I love that name, Disco.
Pay attention guys to the lights, and it is a factor in the map so far. It's very, very shiny. It might really distract not only the viewers at home here as well as our players. But let's introduce our players real quick. On the more or less bottom right hand side, we did have Ender. In the meantime, on the kind of top left, it's not completely there. It's almost there. It's gonna be Knox on the red Zerg, and we did see some overlords, the balloons, just being sent over to the other side. Maybe some clowns having a conference and just wants to enjoy the night here in Disco Bloodbath.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny that these things are called balloons, but they're really big. Like, they can see the map as well, and they're really pesky with sight, because sometimes when they go over the ledges, they can't be seen. But at the same time, they're also useful for the scouting, the pesky factor, especially if they become overseers. Because when they create the unit that copies other units, oh man, it's going to be pretty distracting. Like, how does he see my units? So like, who or what is scouting my base? You know?
Who's a spy?
Yeah,
someone,
who's a spy? Someone does not belong.
Someone is not who they seem.
Yeah.
But it seems like both the players doing the similar stuff, pretty standard here. And in StarCraft 2, it really is defined by a meta. Meta basically is a set strategy that has come above and beyond to be optimal into the game. Tier 1 meta, of course, is the highest kind of strategy, and most players replicate. But now we are going to see the dancing. What's that, panda?
It was a bear.
A bear?
No, it's a bear.
It's a stick? It's a beautiful dance, that's for sure. But speaking of the dance, we've been talking about the dancing Zerglings. They've been nibbling at each other. We didn't see the metabolic boost though from either side. But maybe we'll see it this time, as Ender going to be going for the macro. Second base is exposed. Knox in the meantime will see this out. And the early Zerglings trying to get a nibble or two onto the drones. But when the drones do come together, they're quite tanky and can kill those off.
I mean, like, 2 drones can defeat 1 Zergling. But then again, you know, in terms of attack speed, I'd say it goes to the drones for now. But in the later game, you know, a Zergling will nibble you to death.
Yeah, it's just very, very scary. Metabolic boost plus Adrenal Glands, making
Adrenal
them
Glands.
a really, really hard unit to get away from. But now Disco in the middle, it really goes to show it's a very, very shiny map. There's so much to see, and Ender as well as Knox going for a tour together. They're enjoying what's here, what's to
The sights and sounds.
It's like an amusement park for the Zerg apparently. But Ender is just giving chase to Knox. He wants to apply pressure, will force Knox as well to respond in kind with some more units. And now we are going to see a similar approach. The ramp being defended here by Knox. High ground, very, very important from the movies we've been seeing. And with the Queen as well, extra DPS with that ranged attack.
Yeah, so it's pretty much so-so for both of these players. Like, they both want to go in for a scout. They both just want to see each other's bases, which is pretty important in any game, in any real-time strategy games. If you want to scout your opponent, you want to predict his moves, you want to predict his units, and you don't want your other units to be caught out. And looks like Ender does get the chance to go in the base, even with like a few Zerglings going in. Not really for an harass, but just for a scout.
Beautiful hold position there though from Knox. The Queen getting the way puts her fat big bum in front of those drones. But he does see the metal boost coming his way. When a building is doing something, when it has an animation, it really means it's going for either an upgrade or producing a unit. And in the Zerg tech tree, when you're talking about Zerg structures, when they start moving around, that means that's an upgrade for the units. It's an upgrade for the units that they enable. So in the case of the spawning pool, the Zerglings gonna get that speed really, really soon. It seems like the wings are sprouting and something else is coming.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to see what happens with this push that will be coming out soon. So I think Ender's scouted this map pretty well, if he can see it. He's put up a pretty basic wall, but we'll see what happens during this clash.
Yeah, we've seen this from Ender before. He putting up the wall to protect himself, but in the meantime, here we go with Knox going out in front. The Zerglings go for the tank. The Banelings are there. They're gonna blow up into acid, but the Queen completely transfused, gets in position, hold position, well done. And the acid just a little too weak against these armored units. So in the meantime, a big investment there from Knox. He is still gonna go for the fight. 2 more Banelings trying to get this around. The Roaches though are built to just withstand the damage being done. And Ender just defending this one more time. A little too easy right here for the Zerg tech tree and going into armor.
So important fact for those of you who don't know, Banelings do bonus damage to light units. Light units are basically what Zerglings are. They're light, they don't have much armor, but Roaches have armor. They basically have a passive of 1 armor, so they can tank those Baneling shots, which a nice, it's a nice defense unit against these Banelings.
Not even just about the value, it's just about the type itself.
Yeah, it's the type of units in general.
Banelings poorly chosen into this matchup, or really just how Ender was able to scout all the way in, see the buildings in production. The Baneling Nest is all the way out in front, so you can easily spot that one out. But still, 2-base situation for both of our players. They are keeping on with the macro, trying to keep as much of their units in production as well. Now in StarCraft 2, you don't want to be floating on too much economy. You don't want to be having too much minerals and gas in the bank. You want to be spending that one as much as possible with your supply in tow. But speaking of the tow, we go through the bear dancing around, and we will see Knox he spots this out though, the Overlord.
So, I mean, we can see. Look at that. We can see some more action. Looks like Ender does see the creep tumor. He's about to go in. But with these Zerglings, I mean, what else can we do with these Roaches? Like, they won't do much. They might nibble a bit, but it's not gonna hurt that much because I don't think Ender lost any Roaches there, and Ender just goes in this natural base without any delay, just spitting acid left and right. The Banelings trying to defend, but unfortunately, Knox's units don't falter one by one, and a GG is called by Knox, and Ender takes the second game.
Takes it already, 2-0. Well done there from Ender again.
Yep.
The armored units just so pesky, so hefty against the Zerglings and the Banes, and you really see those Nidus forms coming on out as well. So if Knox did mount the desperate defense, there will be even more reinforcements there from Ender. When it comes to a time when the Zerg decides, no, it's time to stop getting economy, it's time to stop getting minerals and gas and start going for the attack, you really hear the screech of the swarm coming your way.
Yeah. So for the Nidus network was just there to immediately transport units. Ender thought ahead, like two steps ahead for that matchup. He knew that he defended the base pretty well. The economy was just in shambles for Knox right there, and the units for Ender is just like twice the amount that Knox could handle, and pretty much that was game right there.
Really goes to show the international experience that Ender has in the first place. Playing against the likes of the Koreans, the Europeans, they're so strong. He does even struggle from time to time to get out of the Pacific AU region. We're not only just SEA, we do stick together with the Australians as well. It's a tough scene.
It is.
And he does get past it from time to time. He does get to the global stage, but it really goes to show that he is honing to not just be the best, but to fight the best that the world has to offer. So well done there to Ender. We're just winning that one out. ZVZ action though, always fun to see. And in our player pool actually, Panda, we have 3 Zerg players and 1 Terra. No Protoss players whatsoever. A little disheartening for me as a Protoss main.
We're both Protoss players.
Protoss OP?
No. Well, in this tournament, no.
Oh,
you could see the difference in caliber from these players. I mean, you could say that the race is OP, but it's always about how you play the race. It's not always about saying that this type of race is overpowered, but the play style that you see from the players is what you would call the overpowered type of play style.
So would you say that Ender is a little overpowered right now?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Of course he is.
Big history. And it really goes to show deserving of the direct invite. I won't be surprised to see him into the player pool whatsoever. But well done there. Now we might get some Terran action in just a bit. But let's talk a little bit about the qualifiers we handled as well. We were the ones who were able to cast and see both, all 3 rather. We had Knox, we had Phoenix, we had Siphon, we had them yesterday. and they were really put on a show. So many people coming out of the woodworks. StarCraft 2, a small scene in the PH era, but at the same time, it's like, oh, it's gonna be part of the SEA Games. It's a rallying call for everyone to dust off those keyboards and bring in the APM.
Yeah, so pretty excited to see. I think it's going to be Siphon versus Phoenix right now for our next matchup. So that's going to be the Terran versus Zerg. So from both of these players in the qualifiers, I mean, pretty much standard players. They're there. They've been practicing for this, and since they're here to show off their skill, we'll see them in the matchup to come. We'll see if they're going to be standard plays, will be cheesy plays, but I'm betting on the standard type.
Both guys are very standard in what they play, but we have seen Phoenix yesterday actually go for the cheese against Ender, proxy raxing, trying to keep the pressure on, go for the bunker rush. But unfortunately, just a little half-hearted in that. Just didn't, just gave up a little too early. Decides, oh, I'm a little afraid to actually push on in. And in StarCraft 2, guys, a cheese strategy involves more or less a very, very risky all-in. If you're able to do it, surprise your opponents, and just make it happen, it is gonna work out in your favor. But if it blows up in your face, it really is big bomb of kilotons right there.
So it's like a double-edged sword, because once you commit to it, you gotta really commit to it. You can't do this half-heartedly and say, oh man, I gotta abandon this strat and do something else. But sometimes it doesn't go in your favor most of the time. But when you commit to a cheese, I mean, you fully achieve it. Yeah, it might work. It might work out in the end. I mean, you can be ahead, you can be behind, but that's all about what the cheesing is about. You commit to it, and then you get ahead, so or you back off half-heartedly and you just go in shambles.
So do you have to be good at it?
Yes, you do. You have to strategize about where you're cheesing, where you're placing your, let's say, gateways, your barracks, even hatcheries if you're a Zerg player.
Do you have to be better than your opponents?
Well, sometimes, even if you're not better than your opponents, you could say a cheese can work out even if you're up against a pro. You can surprise them, but if they're used to your strategy, well, then it's another story.
I'm glad you didn't catch that. I didn't say anything. But yes, anyway, now we're gonna go into our second series of the night, and this time it's gonna be Terran versus Zerg. And on the bottom right, here on the red-hand side, it's gonna be Phoenix playing on the Terran, seeing some humans. Always good to see on Acropolis. And in the meantime, on the top left, his opponent's gonna be running in the blue. It's gonna be Siphon on the Zerg.
So pretty standard play again from both of these players. That's a barracks? I'm sorry. I thought it was a command center for a moment right there. But yeah, pretty standard for both of these players. I think Phoenix is going to be scouting with this. So for those of you who don't know, Terrans don't really get their scouting till they build the barracks and then an orbital command center, which brings out the sonar, which you can see stealth units, or you can see it in the map. It costs about 50 energy for the building to be used. So that's basically the scouting factor for the Terran.
So does it bring cable too? Cable TV?
Yeah, probably.
But
probably.
Another big thing the Orbital Command does bring in are the mules. Mules are basically workers that you can call on in, and they have this extra rate of getting minerals. So it really is getting rich and getting rich as quick as can be. For the human race, doesn't seem surprising whatsoever. But Siphon, in the meantime, playing standard as well. And we are going to see a little bit of a different opening since we have a different faction into play. In the Terran race, usually they want to get your mobile units first to poke, harass your opponent, not let them expand, and at the same time, be at home, build the bigger units, bring in the armor, bring in the ships, and call in the thunder.
Yeah, and then if you're a Zerg and you know you're up against a Terran, it's your job to break the walls and then just tear down every human you see as your opponent. But then again, it's nice to see at least these two players thinking up with what strategies to come. I mean, I think Siphon has scouted that there's no wall yet. So, important factor that Terrans usually have wall buildings. The Reaper for the scouting as well. Well, he's going to poke that queen, but not unfortunately, it's not going to do much right now. I think the Zerglings are about to go in. I think it's going to... I don't think this base is... The command center is not going to be built.
This might be scary. Oh, the reactor comes back in time. Well done. So the reactor does take twice as long as an attachment to actually come on up. But it is there, and now Phoenix going to be defending like that.
Oh,
the thing to
no.
note, though, about Terran buildings, Panda, is they can fly if
Yeah,
they are done.
If they're done.
But this one isn't done. And
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
A little
so,
unfortunate.
yeah, the command center, when it's actually, it can be two types of units. Oh, he cancels it. Oh, that's disheartening. The Reaper doesn't make it back in time because he just cancels that. But so I think he's gonna be building it up right there. So there it is. Yeah, what you pointed out that the barracks can fly. And good harass by Siphon right there, preventing the command center and at least wasting 100 minerals and at least 70 seconds of time for building the command center.
Big hit, because
It's a
not
big hit,
only
yeah.
the 100 minerals, but also the extra production in the first place.
Yeah.
Interesting though, Phoenix is forced to use the supply drop on his supply depot. Usually you don't see this from a Terran. You
Yeah.
want to use that for mules to get those extra minerals. You want to use it for a scan just in case you need to scout safely, or you want to see some cloaked or burrowed units. But pulling the supply means that Siphon is really forcing Phoenix to do a little bit of half-hearted measures, maybe making his opponents flip up along the way.
Yeah. So that's actually a big energy hit right there. Seeing that Phoenix has used it on one of his supply depots is actually a bit disheartening because he could use it for the minerals or for the scout. But I think he didn't have the time to use to build another supply depot because surprised he didn't build a wall and maybe use a bunker. I mean, you could sacrifice some of your SCVs, just build the wall immediately because if you're a Terran player and you know you're up against a Zerg, you have to build a wall. I mean, you have to prevent those units from nibbling on your other units, especially expansions.
Yeah, especially also your SCVs. You need to
Yeah.
protect them as much as possible, or the backbone of your economy. Every good economy needs a worker in the first place. But we do see some Hellions here from Phoenix. It's pretty much your standard opening. When you get your factory, double pump those out. They're very strong against fast critters like the Zerglings in the first place.
Yeah, but when Zerglings are on creep and they have their metabolic boost, they're actually faster than Helions. Even if Helions do more damage to the Zerglings, I mean, it's pretty much a 50-50 moment at that point. So we went back to the
Getting
to
back
the
into
the
the
players.
Hellions,
Well, going back to the Hellions, these Hellions are actually okay. So they're about to fix, the game viewing right now. But so going back to the topic on the Hellions can actually turn into Hellbats. I mean, that's a pretty surprising unit. From a mechanical, it goes to a bio, which is very surprising. How can a unit like that be a bio unit when it's actually mechanical?
I mean, it becomes the guy. The guy in the middle becomes the heart of the vehicle. It becomes more of a suit of armor instead of a car to actually ride on in instead. So think about that, guys. You have a car you want to ride on in. It becomes a giant fighting robot that you can actually play around
Power
with.
Ranger.
Power Rangers, Transformers, whatever you want to call it. A little bit of technical issues there. But now let's get back into the action. Phoenix just going on back, playing the defense. We did see a small little attack there from Siphon. The Zerglings were in position to go for that second base. The Mule is there producing, but we do have some really good defenses, and the Battlecruiser here from Phoenix as well. Now the Battlecruiser, the flagship, really the heart of the Terran Dominion. Flying on around, got some good damage done, but not really crippling against the Zerg.
Yeah, it wasn't really major because the Helions were distracted to go back to the main base and defend. So, for every Terran player, I think it's pretty standard for the Terrans to go for the battle cruiser. Sorry, for this meta. Like, I'm not surprised that the battle cruiser was being built there, but then again, sometimes it falls off. If you spend too much on it, and as we see here, the roaches are going to be going in one by one. The siege tank defending against some of those roaches, but there's no wall, and I think those roaches are going to become Ravagers.
Yeah, Ravagers can throw that corrosive bile. It's a disc into the air, and it just drops on down to get some damage done. The thing about Battlecruisers is they're very, very strong if you have one or you have many. It's a weird power spike. It really goes. It's a very high tier unit. It's honestly the last one you can build for the Terran race. But now Siphon having to deal with the high ground, the siege tank keeping the artillery, the pressure on from above.
Yeah, so a lot of those units are pretty vital right now. A fun fact about those bile shots, they can actually hit the air. And it's pretty bothersome for some of the air units of the Terran. So Battlecruiser will be, I think, will be going back to trying to defend against these roaches because, wow, Siphon is really good good at this right now. He's denying the mining factor. I think it went back to... Yeah, they're pretty much defending, but the SCVs are gone. There's only one SCV repairing that command center. He's gonna have to work double time, double time.
He's putting in a hard day's work, and Phoenix is forced to play the defensive because Siphon controlling the map, running around, putting his foot on the doorstep of the Terran. Speaking of the foot, here we go with the shove, just kicking the door on in. The ball actually connects, hitting a few of those Hellions in position.
Yeah, and I think Phoenix lost like 2 siege tanks right there.
Yeah, heartbreaking. And now Phoenix has to play this cheeky. Will decide to go for the balloons, those overlords instead. Gonna drop a mule as well to repair up the battle cruiser. Usually, when you're playing that Terran and you're winning a lot, you want to drop those banner mules. But in this case, you need to heal the ship.
Heal the ship. Like, there is no other way of healing the ship. And a lot of those like overlords are on the map. Like, are they upgraded? They don't look upgraded.
I think they do run around a little quicker, but it's interesting to note that Siphon has a lot of supply in the bank, that's for sure. He has committed into building overlords first and foremost. Might be an opportunity here for Phoenix in the first place. Battle cruisers though, burning that one up, and sure, Siphon loses another of those balloons, but does it really matter here for the Blue Zerg because he's not really using that one up yet? That all depends now how Phoenix is gonna go for the approach, go for the fight, gonna try to dissuade his opponent from expanding for another base.
Yeah, so it's pretty important that you deny both of the mining time from both players. But as I see right now, Phoenix is going to be coming in on those queens, and he's going to take out at least 4 of them. Only 1 queen survives, and all of those battle cruisers are just waltzing in. Even the Helions on the backside just going to town on those drones. Loses 3 drones in the process. The Roaches are here, but I think they're a bit late to the party. They're just going to get burned by those battle cruisers one by one, falling down. I think Phoenix is just turning this around, and the queen goes out, but you get immediately annihilated by that Yamato cannon, and the battle cruisers are just having a field day. The Spore Crawler, was that a Spore Crawler?
Yeah, one Spore Crawler.
One Spore Crawler, but it wasn't enough.
It tried its luck, and that was really well timed there from Phoenix.
Yeah.
He attacked at the situation where Siphon was out of position. Siphon was waiting for something to come, but apparently he sidestepped his way through the map already. And you can see this, the Corruptor gonna be out in front. And Corruptors,
he doesn't die, dude.
It's so tanky.
It's so tanky.
The Corruptors are very, very good anti-air units. They can't do much against the ground, but they are very, very pesky and very, very strong against these BCs. Speaking of the Corruptors, now it's gonna be a fleet, a swarm of them coming their way. Acid Spore's gonna blow one up, and you might have to use Tactical Warp to get on away. It all depends on the cooldown. Light speed to retreat.
So I think that cooldown is like 2-3 minutes. Oh look, those Marines are going on those Corruptors. The Corruptors a bit late to respond, so he does lose 2 of them. The Marines will be going on them. Nah, I mean Corruptors can't really attack land units, so Phoenix can do the decisive moment right here since there are not much land units, and Siphon is just losing drones left and right. He's too much Corruptors. I think those Roaches aren't going to be enough even against those siege tanks. Even if those siege tanks aren't really sieged up, they still do a lot of damage, and those Corruptors are just going to get shot down one by one, and I think that's it for Siphon right there.
I love this from Phoenix. He decides to go bio instead, biological units. He gets boots on their mud, gets boots onto the floor, and it's just going to be Marines, Marauders, Medivac siege tanks. It's a very old composition. Yamato cannons singing away as well, and the Marines giving chase. Really good tech switch. Most of the time, you expect your opponent to stick on the strategy that they're doing, especially on someone of Phoenix's level who loves playing mech. You don't see bio from him as much as other Terran players, but this is really, really well timed. Now Zerglings, a tech switch here from Siphon, but it is going to be stuck by the ramp. It is going to be Marauders with Concussive Shell, keeping the slow effect in check as well. And GG is called. Phoenix calls it, takes it 1-0. Well done there to our Terran. Siphon had to call the GG on out. Didn't expect the bio ball to come his way, and really good tech timing there from our Terran player.
Yeah, so as I see, Phoenix really defended this position well. It might have looked like he was out of that game, but you could see the decisive moments, the units he actually built up, the defense. Even if he didn't have those walls up, it was pretty vital for the defense as well. He didn't lose the second command center, which was also good. Battle cruisers was distracting enough that I think Siphon overcommitted to the Corruptors
Yep.
too much. I mean, you could have built another unit, maybe mass up Queens, or maybe even build more Spore Crawlers, but unfortunately, he didn't go for that option. So, I mean, you could have played around against the battle cruisers and continued with your land units, but I think Siphon didn't really quite see that opportunity to, and Phoenix just captivated over that, and he saw too much Corruptors. He immediately switched back to the tech of land units and just quickly demolished and annihilated those Corruptors, and they couldn't even do anything against the tanks, the Marines, and the Marauders.
Yeah, set the foundation already, especially with siege tanks in play. Siphon could have gone for some Hydralisk maybe to actually go for the fight both on the ground and into the air. But it seems like we are going to go for our second game. Can Siphon get his revenge? It was really just a well-done sidestep there from Phoenix to pretty much start things off. The main base was very, very walled off. No real scouting done by Siphon. By the tail end of that one, couldn't really penetrate into SimCity.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what map number 2 is going to be. Every map, guys, is important. Every map is different in StarCraft 2. The layouts, the antics, all the gimmicks in the map do differ depending on what they actually choose. And we saw Acropolis a while ago. It was a very standard map. I've seen...
It is.
I think we've seen a few other maps as well, like Disco Bloodbath. We had the ice maps. We had the map with different expansions as well.
Yeah.
And those are very, very new. And this time, we are gonna see something a little old as well. I was talking about this yesterday with Arcantiel, and there are 2 maps that did stay on into the map pool. One was Acropolis a while ago, and this time we are gonna be on to the other one, Thunderbird LE. A little bit of a medium-sized map, but there is a really, really fast run-in for one of these players. So now introducing our players on the bottom right. The Blue Zerg of Siphon, going to be looking for revenge. And here on the top left, we're going to see Phoenix trying to capitalize, trying to secure match points.
Yeah, so it's like a best of 3 right here, and Phoenix will be looking to secure this, or maybe Siphon will be out to revenge. We might not see, but right now I'm liking Phoenix right now. I mean, he's having that nerve to go out with his SCV, maybe try to scout some things, maybe point it out. So like you said on these maps, I mean, it's good for a Reaper to like jump in and jump out just to see the scouting versus the Zerg units, because Zerglings can't really chase a Reaper as well without the creep. But with the creep, I think the Zerglings can nibble here and there.
Yeah, just run around, and the Reaper really has to be microed well. It's one of those units that you need to put attention to, but at the same time, you need to take care of your base and figure out what's going on and keep on building. That one Reaper, he looks cool. He has a jetpack. He can jump up and down cliffs. He has twin pistols, always a meaning of some really, really cool guy. But the cool guy does look at explosions. He has to be surrounded, and he has to be reinforced by other units.
Yeah, so I think Phoenix did scout with his SCV, and I don't think he saw a second base coming out right now. I think he has a pretty good idea of what's happening. A good instincts from Phoenix right then and there, but I don't see... he's scouting with that Reaper. That's a very good instinct right there, because you don't want to be caught off guard versus a Zerg player, which can either make you or break you at this point of the game. So I think Phoenix is doing really good. He's playing it really safe. He doesn't want to go for an expansion. He just wants to go for a defensive spot, as I see right now. Yeah, he is going for a defensive spot. And ooh, very spicy, very large right there. He could be large in charge, but could they make him or break him for Siphon at this moment? Like, anything can happen right now.
Big investment. This is a very big investment.
It is a very,
That's a really risky play here from Siphon. We'll see if it's going to pan out. In the meantime, Phoenix playing SimCity, and the Reaper spots this.
The Reaper spots it.
Cluster Bomb as well to just be pesky, and this has to be supply depots coming on up.
Yeah.
These buildings do drop into the ground, but at the same time can come back up to provide this wall. And speaking of the wall, it is going to try to go down as the Bile is being flung into the air. But Phoenix defending pretty much very steadheartedly. He has bunkers as well, so he doesn't just want to have these Marines.
Yeah, so since units don't really see up, the Overseer is there for basically eyesight for these units. The corrosive, the Biles that shots come up to the top side, they're really important for this moment. And wow, he's really committing to this. Like, I think Siphon just wants to go in, knock, and take down all those SCVs. He does lose 2 SCVs, which pretty much is a bit pesky and annoying, but I think Phoenix should really watch out for this and just keep repairing that wall.
Oh, the wall might be under danger because the SCVs are still repairing, and that's going to be big Bile hits. It's a volleyball spiking into the face of these workers.
Did he hit his over?
I think he just hit his own over. Okay, it's like, okay.
Sorry, I lost it there.
I'll give you guys 2 balls. You can have 1 as well. Let's play volleyball like
Let's
this.
play volleyball. Just
The funny thing about Bile, it damages not only your opponents but also your units.
Your
You have
units
to
as
be very,
well.
very careful in this sense. But in the meantime, Siphon is really given the opportunity to macro on up, but he is playing the micro as well. Needs to actually get the hits on to these stationary units like the siege tanks. Siege mode means they have a longer range and bigger damage, but at the same time, they can't move. And it's really just Bile flinging into the air, getting tossed onto the ground of that main base.
Yeah, and fun fact, like those corrosive biles actually deal bonus damage to armored units, especially to those buildings. But unfortunately, well, the supply depot does go down, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough. Like, I think he's overcommitted to this to the point that Phoenix has actually just defended against this, and it's really dangerous. It's a really dangerous spot for Siphon right now.
Yeah, Siphon is playing the micro a little too much, not paying attention to his macro. Gonna give up that Overlord as well, as we have the Viking that hunts these balloons up and around. And that's honestly what the Viking is for.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty annoying for Siphon. If he loses like his supply, and if he gets blocked, that's gonna hurt the unit so far. Okay, he does try to...
That's ambitious.
Well, it was ambitious, but you know, pretty much the Viking moves faster than those shots, so I'm sorry. The Viking's like, maybe next time.
I'd love to see a little bit of a tech switch here from either of our players, but Siphon a little too invested in these Ravagers. Gonna be scouted though, as the Viking is flying their way both sides, playing into higher tech. Just trying to see what each other is going to do. The scouting isn't there for either side as of yet, but now Phoenix going to see that second hatchery, sees another building in production. It's going to be a Spore Crawler already. And the Viking actually goes down. It's so rare to see. A lot of cannons, instant transformers, guys. If you don't even know about the Viking, it turns into a fighter with twin Gatling guns. And now the Viking actually getting some good damage done. Why? Because nothing is defending the Queens, though. Going to be trying to get the hits. The Matriarchs paying attention to the workers. And it's time to fly on by.
Yeah, so I think that was a nice attempt with the harass right there. So I think it's going to be switching it up for Phoenix right here. Well, I think he's in a pretty good spot with a nice harass. And the Overseer also goes down. Sorry, Overlord.
Yeah, Overlord goes down before the scout happens.
Yeah, the scout couldn't fully see, like if there was maybe a starport or maybe there's a fusion core. It's always important to see like what kind of units are coming out. It looks like the harass of the Banshee is coming here, but he's risking it. Like, I mean, that Spore Crawler can actually see cloaked units and fully defended for Siphon right there. But he is going to take out some drones, like 2 drones.
Yeah, it's just annoying. And
it's pretty annoying.
This Banshee opening is something that has been in the game for quite a while, since 2011.
Well, since 2011,
But
I mean, quite a while.
I believe it has fallen off a lot because most Zerg players, most Protoss players really just put the defensive structure just behind, get the detection just in case when they know a starport is out and about. It's always an opportunity, it's always something that can happen, and it's better to counter it and less face the wrath of the jet plane.
I mean, it's always better to play safe. When you know you're in the mid-game, you don't know what can happen to your workers, and you should be careful with what happens to your workers right there then. So I think Phoenix will be opting to move out right here with enough units. The Banshees will chill there, say, hi guys, you know, you can go on ahead. I'll be here.
But this is very interesting. We don't see this kind of play too much anymore. It really is a little bit of a blast from the past, especially from our Terran player. We saw Cloak Banshee, and pay attention to his economy right now. He only really has one base, but here we go. He saw spots out to the big army. The Banshee's trying to go for the fight as well, just being annoying. In the meantime, the other Banshee going for some energy. That other Banshee also does go down. So even though they're trying to come as a pair, it seems like you only get one shoot with this. Siege tank, so gonna be sieging on in. Good Bile will connect onto those armored units, and they will go down. Phoenix in a bad spot, a little behind in the economy as well. And Siphon gonna be good on that defense, gonna be able to hold the door into this game.
Yeah, so as I see right now, I mean, Phoenix is a bit behind on units. I think he committed to like trying to cheese the base of Siphon, but it didn't really turn out for. So I mean, if I was Siphon right now, I would try to move out on the map, but looks like the Reaper even gets taken down. I mean, there's supposed to be a center map here for the scouting, but then again, it just gets denied right there and then.
it's time. It's time for an attack maybe here from Siphon. And the thing about Thunderbird LE, it's pretty standard map. But the displacement of the map, the easy diagonal to get to the other side is blocked up by resources.
Yeah.
So you do have to send in a drone or two or an SCV or two to actually mine that out to open up for your units. But knock knock, it seems like it's going to be time for a trick or treat here from our Zerg player. In the meantime, Phoenix trying to build up the economy. He has to catch up. But this might not be the time to do so, as here comes the army, the Roaches are Ravagers are in position, the Banshee will be uncontested of course, and will get some good damage done with those rockets. But what can the Marines do? They're just dying left, right, and center. Here we go, onto the ramp one more time, the supply depot is still down, and the SCVs have to run away, the Mule's gonna be there as well. We go for the load on in, the manufacturers keeping everyone alive, Red Cross at it again, and here we go with the Orbital Command, gonna be flying on out, Bile into play, the Banshee! It stays alive.
It stays alive.
Wow,
like,
that was
too corrosive isn't enough for like that the moment, and I think Phoenix is committing to this, and he does defend it. Wow, that's very surprising for Marines and Marauders, just taking out those Roaches immediately.
Well done with Stim. I feel the Stim was so big.
Feel the Stim, bro.
Yeah, the Marauder also just coming out of nowhere. Something you wouldn't expect when you see the Marines in the first place. Marauders do take a while to come on out, but they do, you know, they really like that Stim pack. They benefit from it, and that extra attack speed with the Medivacs behind. The Corrosive Bile was used on the Banshee instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think he wasted that, but then again, he had enough Corrosive Biles for those units, but they were too fast, man. They just avoided those Biles coming from above. And what is he attacking?
The Queen is angry.
He's angry?
I think the Queen is angry.
He's angry at something.
Angry at the main base. You know, it would be funny if Siphon actually loses that structure because of that.
Oh, wow.
Like, we go all back there.
Just don't hope for it to happen. I think he stopped it.
He did. He
should.
But anyway, it seems like the scouting army here for our Terran, the Medivacs, the Marines, and Marauders can be spawning out that Overlord. And it's fun to see Phoenix just branch out in his roots. We know him as a mechanical player instead, so that means he likes building buildings and units rather from the factories.
Yep.
These include the siege tanks, the cyclones, the Hellion Hellbats, the Thors as well, and those Widow Mines. But now we are seeing more of a barracks approach. Gonna be basic units, basic training, and trying to get on out. Medivac load gonna be very, very important. Baneling still out of nowhere! And that is gonna be Siphon getting some really, really big hits, forcing Phoenix to run away.
The Marauders, poor Marines. The thick units survive, my man. They're all about that. You can't kill this unit.
Keep the thick boys alive.
Yeah,
And that's a little
keep it
important.
alive.
In the first place, the Marines are a lot more expendable in the first place. But what you want to do instead, when you see a Baneling roll into your army, you have to split. You have to have one to sacrifice, or just allow them to shoot that one down.
But right now, as I see things, Phoenix is going to have to figure out something to happen, and he destroys the upper rocks, which is a bit curious. I mean, that could make you or break you versus a Zerg player. I mean, if you give them the opportunity to like go left and right, it's going to be a clash. Zerglings are going to try to surround those Marauders, but unfortunately, they all get away.
Did you see that? The one Marauder was so lost, he spun around 4 times before the Medivac actually picked him up.
He's like, what am I going to shoot at? I don't want to shoot at.
Speaking of the shoot, here we go with the Medivacs onto the side of the base, just planting himself beside the instructors. Very, very smart. You want to keep yourself in the funnel. That means less Zerglings are going to be nibbling at you, only 1 or 2 at a time.
Yeah.
It's really just zombie training 101. Medivacs, though, keeping the top up on. And I would love a spaceship that would heal me and make me feel better.
Yeah, the Medivacs are really pesky units that can heal the Terran players. And, you know, I can't get over the fact that they can still heal the Hellbats. I mean, yeah, fine.
It's a suit of armor.
It's a suit of armor. It's part of you.
It is you. You are the Hellbat.
You are the Hellbat.
You have always been the Hellbat. But now we are coming to a point where we are getting into the mid-late game. So more upgrades, more different units coming our way. And this is really RTS in true fashion. But here we go with the Zerglings going to be in position. The Banelings right behind, trying to go for the surround. But the Medivacs again with another perfect load. And Phoenix a little panicking there, but still able to stay alive.
Yeah, and he takes down the hatchery as well, denying that base can and actually be bothersome for the Zerg. He loses like 400 minerals. And a bit of Zerglings, but you know, unfortunately, you know, Siphon is in a good spot right now. He can defend. he can also go on the offense, but he can't risk everything because a Terran player can drop here and there, and if you don't defend it in time, well, say goodbye to your resources.
Yeah, it's very, very true. They go for the backbone of your economy. And StarCraft 2 is an RTS, so that means that armies can do different things at the same time. You don't need to have just one big ball. Most of newer players really fall into that category. But as you go on, as you get better, especially as our players here in the Sibol Combine, they are really showing that they have these micro skills to pay attention to any side of the map. But now Phoenix is going to be looking around, trying to find an opportunity to poke the bear, but seems like the bear resting a little bit, trying to keep the macro on up instead.
Yeah, but I'm pretty surprised. Like, Phoenix could go for something here for left and right. I mean, even continuing to harass in the map. And I think something is happening on the on the Terran's base, but I don't know if it's right there.
Probably going to be a drop play, and his SCVs going
the SCVs
down.
do go down.
Oh,
9 SCVs.
I love that. I love that.
I think that was a bailing drop. It was a bailing drop.
It's just the balloons, keeping those small little balls, throwing them onto the ground. These bombs, these acid spitters, just so strong. But this poor hatchery should go down. The Zerglings though are coming their way, and this is going to be another round insta-load. The two Marauders trying to go for the last stand, but no heroics here. The Medivacs again just getting in the way. But the Banelings this time, it's all about drops from our two players.
And they loses like 8 SCVs. That's a total of 17 SCVs lost so far for Phoenix, but not really gonna hurt him so much. I mean, I think the army composition is really crucial at this point, and I'm surprised he's going for Corruptors instead of Mutalisks. I mean, it's a bit risky, but then again, it's slower than the Medivacs.
You have to realize something. Corruptors can turn into something else just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
They're very, very strong, especially against these bio units. The Brood Lords might be into the cards later on, but now we do see Widowmines getting huge hits. The Zerglings completely eviscerated with that one. Big hits there from our Terran player, and another good load on in. But now the Banshee does go down, and I can see why Siphon went those Corruptors. He is just so annoyed of those Medivacs already, and this forces the Medivacs to run away a little quicker, leaving people behind. And the Great Wall of supply depots, the natural
but
landmark.
is it going to be enough?
Is it gonna be enough?
It's not going to be enough. The Banelings going left and right.
That's a big hit. That was so beautiful there from Siphon. That one roly-poly-oly getting in position. But speaking of the position, it seems like it's going to be a base race here for both players. Never mind. Siphon going to decide it's time to back on out. Infestation Pit will get cancelled on out. It does go down. Europarasite will not go up here for our Zerg player. But you know what won't go up as well? These Marauders, they are stuck by the ramp trying to take care of that proxy hatchery. Here we go with the Zerglings and the Banelings still on the other side.
He's losing more units than he's trying to recover them. And I don't think there's enough Banelings to deal with this army. Those Marauders just going left and right.
The Corruptors are there though from behind, and it's going to be the Medivacs going down. One is dead, two goes down right now. And there's going to be 3 in the money, 4 for the show maybe. And the Zerglings and the Banelings want to go in as soon as those Medivacs go down. But the hatcheries do fall. And can Siphon get enough minerals in time as well as gas to reinforce his army? It seems like this is so dire here for the Zerg. What can Siphon do? He's going to go for it. The Banelings are into position. The Marauders going to go down. The Zerglings are going to be there as well as the Corruptors fly on in. But that one Marauder.
That one Marauder is like, come at me. No.
He's the hero of this army. But I feel like Phoenix has done way too much damage.
Yeah, he has. Like, he's taken down like 3-4 hatcheries. And those were vital units right there. And the Corruptors are going to be seen by the Marine composition army of Phoenix right now. And I think Phoenix is just going to go all in for it. Yeah. But seeing as it is right now, he just has to be careful of Baneling shots.
It's very, very difficult right now for
that
Siphon.
hatchery's looking bare. Oh, well, he ran away. He could have repaired it, but never mind.
Not gonna happen with that many Corruptors.
Oh yeah, with that many Corruptors.
They do percent damage, I believe, or they do increasing damage. As
they do increasing damage.
And GG is
well
called.
Played. And Phoenix takes it 2-0. I mean, he lost too many hatcheries right there.
That's too much. You can call it there already. It was a heroic last stand, especially from our Terran, with that one Marauder trying his best. But in the end, the Zerg just taking way too long, didn't commit early enough, just sacrificing those hatcheries left, right, and center. And in the end, there's just no youth. There's just no one to reinforce the rest of this farm. And well played to both of our players, but the Terran taking it 2-0. What an exciting last match for the night.
Yeah. So seeing like a total overview of everything, Siphon was going out strong, but then again, in the end, I think he overcommitted to the Corruptors too much, and he did have the infestation pit, but he couldn't transition to the Broodlords immediately like the other units you said. For those of you who don't know, Corruptors turn into Broodlords, and then Broodlords just spawn so many Broodlings.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he overcommitted it too much. I mean, I would have been nice to see some Mutalisks to chase down instead of just to chase down the Medivacs instead of the Corruptors.
Or maybe a Hydralisk again. We didn't see some Hydras today.
I mean, Hydras versus a Terran army like that, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's a little hard to get that Lurkers. It really depends on the tech, but
Yeah.
really the point is playing Corruptor too much when your ground army is the bigger threat is way too difficult. You're not getting any damage done. If you're gonna play Corruptor, you might want to pair it with more disposable units as well, like a Swarm Host or two. But in the meantime, we're gonna be passing it over to our courtside in just a bit. But damn, what a great matchup
Yeah,
we
it
have
was.
had. It's so good.
Yeah, so, but, okay. So I think we're going to be passing it to courtside right now, just a bit. And over to you.
Thank you so much, guys. Maraming salamat na sa Clean 2-0. And right now, kasama ko ang team coach para sa Sibol StarCraft 2 national team natin. Nandito si Coach Blazer with me. Sir, kamusta yung so far? Kamusta lahat ng mga games na napapanood mo for our StarCraft 2 players?
Actually, napaka one-sided niya kasi si Ender walang talo. Then yung second player, ang talo lang din niya kay Knox. So, they prove na talagang sila yung best two sa tournament. So, yun.
Alright, so gusto ko lang din tanungin na how do you choose the player ba na makakapasok sa ating national team? Ano ba yung mga qualities na hinahanap mo sa mga taong to?
Well, number one yung skill nila, syempre. And yung dedication nila and yung interest nila sa laro. Tsaka yung talagang may goal na maging gold sa SEA Games. So, yan.
Ayun, speaking of, kasi malapit na. Next week na actually, makapipili na kayo ng mga players na isasama. And as far as I know, dalawa ang pipiliin. Siyempre, kailangan ng backup natin, no? So, right now, I want to ask, ano ba yung training plans mo, Coach, para sa mga player na mapipili mo?
Actually, hinihintay pa namin yung magiging result ng proposal namin. Pag nangyari yun, then maganda kasi magkakaroon kami ng training house, gather kami doon para sa training ng sama-sama. Unlike ngayon na online pa lang. So at least yun.
Importante nga naman talaga yung training house. Kailangan na may bonding moments din kayo at magkakasama nga kayo. Do you think, Coach, enough time ba yung, syempre yung SEA Games natin for esports is on December. Do you think it's enough time para makapag-practice and makuha mo kung anong gusto mo or goal mo para sa player na yun?
Actually, hindi siya enough. Pero binibigay namin yung best or yung most of the time namin sa paglalaro para ma-reach namin yung goal. So, yun.
Maraming salamat, Coach Blazer. Narinig niyo naman from Coach, so ibabalik ko na sa inyo, Panda User and Dax.
Okay. Thank you so much, Liza, for that and for Exablazer on his insights. Well, this has been StarCraft 2. Thank you so much for Signal TV for this event, for Sibol, giving us the opportunity to shoutcast this event, for Razer as a major sponsor, and for Mountain Dew as the official esport drink right here.
Do the Jew.
Do the Dew, my friend.
Power up, man.
Yeah,
Power
man.
up with that.
And again, thank you so much for everybody joining us on stream and on site in this event. This has been an exciting evening. Thank you so much again. This is Panda User.
And I've been Dax.
And
We'll see you guys
see
in
you
the next
guys
one.